I found my mother's diary after her death. My father was a monster. My mother's diary told me to forgive him. My name is Donald, a 32-year-old male. For 20 years, my father was a ghost in our house. His name was Jerry, and it was never spoken above a whisper. The official story, the one my mother, Clara, told us, was that he was a hero, a firefighter who died in a warehouse fire when I was 7. A man who ran into a burning building to save someone and never came out. We grew up in the warm, sad light of his martyrdom. His photos sat on the mantelpiece, a handsome, smiling man in his uniform. We celebrated the anniversary of his death every year with a quiet dinner. My mother never remarried. He was the love of my life, she'd say, her eyes distant. There could never be anyone else. I built my entire identity around being the son of a hero. I became a paramedic, a decision I thought would make him proud. My older sister, Maya, became a therapist, perhaps to deal with the loss we never truly processed. 3 months ago, pancreatic cancer took my mother. It was swift and brutal. In the hollow, grief-stricken weeks after her funeral, Maya and I began the painful process of cleaning out her house. In the back of her closet, hidden under a floorboard she thought I never knew about, was a metal lockbox. It wasn't locked. Inside, there was no jewelry, no stacks of cash. There was a single, leather-bound diary. The first page was dated a year before my father's death. The handwriting was my mother's, but the voice was that of a stranger, a woman trapped in a private hell. October 3rd, he came home drunk again. The smell of whiskey and rage. He said my cooking was disgusting. Threw the plate against the wall. I told him to keep his voice down. The children were sleeping. He backhanded me so hard I saw stars. I told Maya I walked into a cabinet door. I sat on the floor of my mother's closet, the world tilting on its axis. The hero was a monster. I read the diary over the next 48 hours, barely sleeping. It was a meticulous, heartbreaking chronicle of abuse. The diary detailed his verbal tirades, his controlling nature, the financial abuse, and the physical violence that was always carefully hidden. January 15th, he lost a big poker game, blamed me for jinxing him, put his hands around my neck, didn't squeeze, just held them there. A promise. Donald wet the bed again. The stress is affecting the children. The man in the photo on the mantle was a fiction, a carefully constructed lie my mother told to protect us, and perhaps to protect his memory, to give us a father we could look up to. The last entry in the diary was dated the day of the fire. Tonight was the worst. He found the hidden money, the $500 I'd been saving to leave him. He destroyed the living room. He backhanded me, a split lip this time. He said if I ever tried to leave, he'd take the kids and I'd never see them again. He'd make sure of it. He passed out on the couch, a bottle of Jack Daniels empty on the floor. The smell of gasoline is so strong. He must have spilled some in the garage. The call just came in on his scanner. A warehouse fire downtown. His company is being dispatched. He's waking up. He's putting on his gear. He's leaving. God forgive me. The entry ended there. My blood ran cold. The words smell of gasoline and God forgive me echoed in my head. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a heroic sacrifice. I drove to my Aunt Carol's house, my mother's older sister. I threw the diary on her kitchen table. Did you know? She read the final entry, her hands shaking, and broke down in tears. She knew everything. The police ruled it an accident, she sobbed. A gas leak from an old water heater in the warehouse basement. But your mother, she was never the same. She lived with that secret every single day. She believed she had willed it. That in her darkest moment, as he walked out the door, she had wished him dead. And God had answered. She didn't pour the gasoline, Donald, but she felt responsible for his death because she was glad it happened. My heroic father wasn't a hero. He was an abuser who died in a random, tragic accident. And my saintly mother carried the unbearable guilt of being relieved that her tormentor was gone. I told Maya. Her reaction was different from mine. As a therapist, she saw the layers of trauma. Her grief was for our mother, for the prison she lived in, both before and after his death. But don't you see? I yelled at her, my voice raw. Our whole lives are a lie. He was a monster. We've been mourning a ghost who never existed. And Mom was a victim who survived. Maya fired back. She gave us the only gift she had left to give. A good father's memory. She gave us a story we could live with. Was it wrong? Maybe. But it came from love. I was consumed by a new, confusing grief. I was grieving the loss of the father I thought I had. I was raging at the man he truly was. And I was heartbroken for my mother, who sacrificed her truth to give us a peaceful childhood. In my rage, I went back to the lockbox. I was going to burn the diary to destroy the last evidence of the lie. But as I picked it up, a small, faded Polaroid fell out from a hidden pocket in the back cover. It was a picture of my mother, young and smiling, her head resting on the shoulder of a man who was not my father. They looked happy, in love. On the back, in her handwriting, it said, David, my true love, lost to the sea, 1985, a year before she married my father. I asked Aunt Carol about him. David was her fiancé, she said softly. A fisherman, lost at sea in a storm. Your mother was devastated. Jerry was a rebound. A safe, stable choice that turned into her worst nightmare. She stayed because she felt she had nowhere else to go. The final piece of the puzzle fell into place. My mother's entire life was a story of loss and survival. She lost her true love, was trapped with a monster, and then lost him too, burdened with a guilt she never deserved. I didn't burn the diary. I put it back in the lockbox, alongside the photo of David. I understood then that my mother wasn't just a victim or a liar. She was an architect. With limited, broken pieces, she built a world for us that was safe, where we were loved, and where we could be proud of where we came from. The man on the mantelpiece is still a fiction, but he's a fiction built with a mother's love, a shield against a much uglier truth. I haven't told anyone else. The world doesn't need to know. The hero narrative can stand for everyone else. For me and Maya, the truth has set us free in a different way. We took down my father's photo. In its place, we put a picture of our mother, smiling, truly happy, from before her life became so complicated. We don't celebrate the anniversary of his death anymore. Instead, on our mother's birthday, we go to the ocean and throw flowers into the water for her and for the man she truly loved, the life she should have had. The truth didn't destroy our family. It redefined it. Our hero wasn't the man in the uniform. It was the woman who stayed, who endured, and who, with a love so fierce it could bend reality itself, gave her children a father they could look up to. Even if he only ever existed in a picture frame. TLDR. After my mother's death, I found her hidden diary revealing my firefighter father, who died a hero, was actually a violent abuser. The diary's final entry implied my mother felt responsible for his death because she was relieved when he died in the fire, discovering she had lost her true love. Before marrying my father, completed a tragic picture of a woman who crafted a heroic lie to protect her children from a painful truth.